Hello everybody. So this video is entitled, Is MSTR and Bitcoin ready to run? Are those two ready to run? Because those two are correlated. Of course, MSTR has been weak. Another weak week. But it's because of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been weak. So MSTR has been weak because Bitcoin has been weak, and Bitcoin has been especially weak ever since we started that little trade war talk again. But if you just look, and this is 1 month out, you can see the correlation in the chart. I mean, it moves hand in hand with Bitcoin. But if you just look the decline in strategy, view via the lens of MNAV decline, you can see that the decline in MNAV has actually not been that strong. I mean, if you look at early October, right, late September, we were trading at 1.36 MNAV. We are today at 1.3 MNAV. Strategy's price, it's been a very slow bleed in MNAV, but if you just follow the MNAV and assess the stock based on the MNAV, it really hasn't moved that much. It's been more flat than it has been down, and much of the down price action of strategy itself is due to Bitcoin. I mean, we've had Bitcoin at 103, we've had Bitcoin at 107, we've had Bitcoin down to 105 during that big liquidation. Bitcoin has not been doing well, and so strategy is not going to do well when Bitcoin doesn't do well. But we are seeing some hope tonight, and we're seeing some good action this Saturday morning as well. So we'll see where Bitcoin goes next week. I'll have a few things to say about that. Before I do, I want to go over a very popular interview, of course, which is the CEO of Strategy giving an interview to a True North team, and it's Bitcoin to 1 million, the next $1 trillion company. Yeah, at some point he says that, and that's fine. I think that's very likely. Listen to the whole interview. What do we know that's new? What is it that's new? So I'm going to try to summarize a little bit. The thing that's new is Stretch. They're all in on Stretch. Stretch it the way. It's going to be the main way they're going to monetize the stack, the Bitcoin stack that they have. So they're very bullish on Stretch. They thought, just like me, that Stretch would trade to 100 really quickly. They thought it would be there like in 2 weeks. Well, no, it's been more than 2 months, and we're not there yet. We also learned things like, for example, Robinhood listed the preferreds on their own. Sailor has nothing to do with that. It's Robinhood we decided to list them because Robinhood apparently had a lot of requests from their members. So that's another aspect. They're used to things taking longer than they think they're going to take. In fact, they are talking about the current success that Strategy is having. They thought they would have it, years ago when Elon bought Bitcoin for Tesla. They thought they would see hundreds of treasury companies then. Well, they didn't. They had to wait a few years. And so it's not surprising to them that they thought Stretch would be successful right away. Well, no, it might not be successful right away. It might take a few years. But they're used to that because Bitcoin has lowered their time preference, and it's all about the low time preference now. And by the way, I may have said in prior videos that I think they should spin off the business. They're clearly not going to spin off the software business. Fongli was actually pretty happy about the fact that now the software business, analysts, investors ask very little question about the software business anymore, and they can pretty much run the software business for the long run without having answer to quarter to quarter questions, etc. So they're not going to spin off the software business. Whatever, I don't think this stock is going to trade on the software business anytime, period. I mean, because the Bitcoin business is just too big. So the software business, they want to keep it. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't change much to the economics of the business. But anyways, this was it. This was all of the new stuff that I saw in there. Nothing extremely new. The last thing is I want to talk about the crazy catalyst for Bitcoin next week. Next week is hope. Sailor says Bitcoin is hope. Next week is hope. If you've been tired with the daily price action of the month of October, like I have, next week has a lot to offer. So Tuesday to Thursday, we have most of big tech earnings, all of them but NVIDIA report. So we're going to have a lot of price action, market action if these earnings are good. On Tuesday, we have a big NVIDIA conference. right, with the Jensen keynote. And of course, these conferences tend to move the market, new product announcements, etc. That's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have the much awaited, and I think it's like 98% odds of rate cut now. 25 basis point rate cut. We're getting a rate cut on Wednesday, plus the Fed speech, and it could be dovish, so that could be very positive for the market. And on Thursday, we may get some positivity, we may get optimism on a China trade deal and the Trump and Xi meeting speech. And of course, for us in the US, we'll know about this Thursday morning, right? Because we are meeting in Korea. So that's very, very positive. So you can see enormous catalysts packed in 4 days, in 3 days, really. And so Bitcoin tends to follow sentiment, market sentiment. If there is a trade deal, Bitcoin will react positively, just like it dropped on the other side when Trump announced that there was another trade war coming. So that's another aspect. Bitcoin tends to follow tech, highly correlated to the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is gonna move. It's gonna move if we get some great earnings and if we get a great speech from Nvidia. And it follows liquidity. Liquidity is more of a long run thing. But if we get a rate cut, we're going to get more liquidity and Bitcoin's going to follow. So next week is pretty bullish on Bitcoin, and I'm pretty bullish about next week. We'll see. If not, maybe it's another delay. You can't really decide you can't really know when Bitcoin jumps. That's why, I think I want to stay invested at all time in Bitcoin, because you can never predict. But we have crazy good catalysts next week. So I'm hoping a lot for next week in terms of Bitcoin and in terms of strategy. So as always, this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. Hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.